Hi everybody! Welcome back to another episode of the Boss Ravioli Queens with your two favorite caregivers, Nicole Ravioli.
Boss Lady Amy.
Today, our episode is called Allergies for Dummies. Because, you know, like the books, all the For Dummies books. I thought it was punny.
Okay, shameless plug.
Dink.
Dink.
We're not sitting in front of a table today.
Yeah. As you can see, we have a new setup yet again, and it's probably going to keep changing, so just don't even worry about it.
It'll be ever changing until it's not.
Yeah. Okay, well, hi, hello, if you're new here. Welcome. We're the Boss Ravioli Queens. We are two caregivers who have been doing this work a long time, and we decided to start a podcast about it. Because there's a lot to be said about healthcare.
Yeah.
So you can go and you can listen to our old episodes. As of right now, we're not currently releasing any audio-only versions. You can still go listen to our old ones anywhere you listen to podcasts other than Apple, because we're poor.
And they charge for every episode post.
They do. But you can also go back and watch all of our old YouTube videos, and then you can also stay up to date on the new ones. We do release a new video every week. We talk about caregiving, healthcare, trending topics, how they relate to caregiving and healthcare, because
it always comes back full circle.
Yep, exactly. Whether you know somebody who's a caregiver or you know somebody who takes care of one of your relatives or whatever the case is, you know somebody that's in healthcare in some way, shape, or form. So, come on this journey with us.
Come on in. Water's fine.
Laugh. Cry. A lot.
WTF. A lot.
And yeah. Come have a listen with us. Have a little chat. So, shameless plug. Over.
Dink.
Okay, so if you are new and you have not been around for a while, there used to be 3 of us, now there's 2. So when we first started the podcast way long time ago, we did do an episode on allergies, like way back when. But now we're trying to keep our content a little bit more updated, not only with just the 2 of us, but also, you know, things change, and it's probably good to do an episode with the same topic every couple years, just because things change.
It literally has been 2 years, too.
Yeah. So, this is an updated allergy episode, Allergies for Dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got done with work and I'm really tired. So we're gonna see how this goes. We'll see if I can English today. It's probably not gonna work well. It hasn't worked well all day. We'll see. So I guess first we should talk about all of the allergies that there are. Because literally, people can be allergic to anything. There are people that are allergic to sunlight, for heaven's sakes. So, the most common are pollen, peanuts, bee stings. Those are the 3 top ones that you hear about the most.
At least what we see in like the residential facilities and things like that. I mean, obviously, it's going to differ by region and whatever. But just, you know, with the populations that we work with, that's what we see the most.
Yeah. Also, like, schools, too. So, like, there's a lot of kids that are allergic to peanuts. There are a lot of kids that are allergic to bee stings. And there are also a lot of kids that are allergic to pollen.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Shellfish is not as common, but it's at least
up there still.
In the population that we take care of. But, yes, it's definitely up there. And then, of course, there's medication allergies, too. Which is so important to know, especially like, you know, in the case of an emergency, like if you have to call 911.
You need to know those things.
Right. Or say like you're working in a place that you don't usually pick up at. That's really difficult. Like, I know of one of my residents that has an allergy to penicillin. And so that's really terrifying. Like, if something were to happen and you know, you had to call 911, not only do they have to treat this person for whatever the emergency is, they also have to find something that is not as common as penicillin.
And also not going to cause more of an allergic reaction.
Correct.
So the charting system that we use at the place that we work is very nice because it will literally tell you their allergies when you click on their picture. Mm-hmm. There's also something called a face sheet, which I would assume that most places that use computerized charting have now. So basically, essentially, their face sheet tells you literally everything about them, including their birth date, their allergies, who their power of attorney is, who their guardian is, so on and so forth. So those are really helpful tools to have.
As long as you keep it all updated.
Yeah.
That stuff is really great, but it serves you no purpose if you open it up and it's blank.
Blank, or like some of the information is wrong. Have had that happen.
That has also happened.
Have had that happen. It's not fun. And then like you end up calling the care team and they're like, we're not that person's care team anymore. What do you mean? Why are you calling?
I wish it was just like, I wish you could just like think it into existence. Like, as soon as this change happens, like, boop, it's updated in the computer. Mm-hmm. Like, no, you have to actually go through and you have to like put it all in. Especially if your person's care team or like managed care organization is one of those like revolving doors where they get a new care team like every couple of months. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even the guardians are like, yeah, I don't even know anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's really sad, actually.
Yeah.
And that also brings more issues with like, if you're only someone's care team for a couple months at a time, like you're not getting to know them well enough. Like, how are we supposed to contact you for these important things that are happening? And you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Not only that, but it really irritates me too when you reach out about something and they're like, oh, I'm just the interim. Like, I can't help you with that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, then why are you even talking to me, right? Like, why are you here? If I was told that you were the person to contact, why was I even given your information?
Right. And it's not as if you couldn't just do a quick little look-ski-doo in the file.
Right.
It's all there. Everything's documented. Because we know the Bible of caregiving. If it's not documented, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, we derailed a little bit, but not too bad.
Not horrible. Same ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Same ballpark.
Yeah.
Different slide. Ballpark slide.
Same playground.
Yeah.
Different slide.
Told you English was hard today.
Well, we're still in the same playground, so that's good.
Okay, back to allergies. So what to do if you see someone having an allergic reaction? So allergic reactions are not always something that's going to lead into anaphylactic shock. You can get hives. You can get like red, patchy, itchy areas that are not hives but are essentially the same thing, just bigger. Usually those will be warm to the touch. And then of course anaphylactic shock, which is your throat closing and you can't breathe because anaphylactic shock.
Fun fact, anaphylactic shock does not or cannot, will not happen after the first time coming into contact with an allergy. It happens either the second time or like multiple times after that. Sometimes there are people out there who will come into contact with an item 40 times before they go into anaphylactic shock.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also like the whole bee sting thing. So I found out a long time ago that the more times you get stung, the more susceptible to becoming allergic to bee stings you get.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you see that stuff in the movies and like you get stung by a bee for the first time ever in your life, and then all of a sudden you're like swollen as a balloon and can't breathe, and you're like, oh my god, I must be allergic.
Doesn't happen like that.
That's not real. That's fake. Fake news.
Although I did see forever and ever ago, I did see like a TikTok or a reel of this guy whose lip got stung. And it was both lips actually, so both of them were super puffy and swollen. And he was like, if you want to have Kardashian lips, pro tip, just let a bee sting you.
I've seen that.
I thought that was hilarious.
That is.
Clearly, he did not go into anaphylactic shock. He just got very swollen lips.
Yeah, so, and I mean, there's lots of different steps that you could take. Obviously, if somebody does have a really severe allergy that does result in anaphylaxis, they're going to have an EpiPen for one. And you're most likely going to be calling 911 if they do come into contact with that item.
Yeah.
Most people, it all depends on what's in the care plan, obviously. But most people, depending on how severe the allergy is, most of them will have like a PRN as needed, like Benadryl or something or other.
Diphenhydramine.
Yeah, that. You might end up calling the guardian. They might want you to take them to the walk-in maybe. But just coming into contact with an item that they're allergic to, unless they have a severe allergic reaction, probably not going to end up going to the hospital for that. I guess it all depends on the situation.
Fun fact, diphenhydramine, which is also Benadryl, is also used to treat anxiety sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it can help you with sleep.
Yeah. Not me. Not I.
And you know what's interesting is that hydroxyzine, which is also an anxiety medication, can sometimes be used to treat allergies.
Yeah. Interchangeable.
That's an interesting correlation. Allergy medication
Anxiety.
and anxiety medication.
Yeah, it's something. Anyways, sorry. I keep derailing us.
I mean, it was relevant, so it's okay.
But we're still on the same playground.
Mm-hmm. Just different slides.
Yeah.
We moved over to, the monkey bars.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this whole episode is going to be monkey bars. It'll be
Just swinging away.
Okay, allergies. So, when you have to use an EpiPen, number one, there are literal instructions on it. There are instructions on it. It tells you exactly what to do. It even says to call 911 after you administer the shot.
Correct. Because if you're using an EpiPen, at that point...
Hold 1 second. Epi stands for epinephrine, which is like synthetic adrenaline, essentially. Mm-hmm. Which is why you need to go to the hospital afterwards. Because if your heart rate is going to be way up there, and they need to make sure that you're okay. Sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. No, I think I was gonna say, if you're at the point where you need to use an EpiPen, obviously it's severe enough that you would want to be calling 911 anyway.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? If you end up having an allergy attack that's so severe, and then you have to use this incredibly strong medication, why wouldn't you? That's common sense.
Apparently not to everybody.
Yeah. So, a little bit of context. I had to take this thing called continuing education. We've done an episode on it before.
It's literally the worst thing in the entire world for an experienced caregiver.
Yeah, so basically continuing ed is all 50 states require that once you've been in healthcare for more than a year, you have to keep up your knowledge. And so, just like any other medical type of training, nursing, EMT, doctors, like what have you, they require some sort of continuing education that you have to take later.
15 hours.
Yeah. So
15 hours.
So I had to take one of the continuing ed classes. I'm not sure what all the requirements are because each one is, different. The states all require different things.
Mm-hmm.
But where we are, 15 hours. Well, actually, I think it's 14 and a half now. Yeah, it is. I just took it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty sure the thing that we had to hang up in the house still says 15.
No. So it's where we are, it's a 4-hour class, and then you have to do the rest all like an online training.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I took the class today, the instructor was talking about a case where this woman, her son was having an anaphylactic shock, or reaction, I should say, to a bee sting. And you're always supposed to have 2 EpiPens with you, because sometimes the first one doesn't always work. Or it does, but doesn't take care of all the symptoms right away.
Correct.
So you're always supposed to have 2 in case you need to do a second injection. And she had the 1. And then 5 minutes later, she realized that it still was not working. So her child needed a second one. And instead of calling 911, or, just driving him to the hospital, she puts her child in the car. I think he was only 5 or 6, and drove him to the pharmacy. And her child was literally in the back seat of the car dying from anaphylactic shock. Well, she ran inside into the pharmacy and tried to get a second EpiPen refill. And the pharmacist refused to fill it because she didn't have an active prescription on file. And the child ended up dying. And not only was that pharmacist fired, lost his medical license, but that pharmacy was actually sued, and she actually won. And a law was passed because of this, where if there is a anaphylactic reaction or shock happening that's resulting in a life or death situation, pharmacies are legally required to give you an EpiPen whether you have an active prescription on file or not. Mm-hmm. So, I guess that is a good thing that came of it, but there's so many things wrong with this situation. First and foremost, she should have just called 911. As soon as she realized that she didn't have the second EpiPen, she should have called 911.
Yeah.
When she had gotten to the pharmacy, the pharmacist should have been like, "Why are you here? I'm going to call 911. And quite obviously they should have given it to her, but again, she shouldn't have been there in the first place. So that's what got me thinking about this whole thing, was that situation that I learned about. This happened a few years ago. I don't know what state. The instructor wasn't sure, but I'm sure we could probably Google it. But yeah, it was really sad. It was a completely unnecessary death. Mm-hmm. And, so common sense isn't all that common.
Yeah. That's why For Dummies.
Yeah, so, if you are encountering someone that is having an allergic reaction, call 911.
Also, necessary to say, if it's not at work with one of your residents and it's someone who is able to communicate with you still, they'll usually tell you that they have an EpiPen in their purse or their pocket or, whatever, and ask you to administer it.
Correct. And EpiPens can even be administered over the clothes, so you don't even need to, it's not like the movies where you gotta tear the shirt off or the pants or whatever.
So ridiculous.
Just stick it in.
Yeah, and you actually do have to, stab kind of hard.
Yeah, because the needle is pretty long.
Yeah.
And it has to go, like, all the way in.
Yep.
So, yeah, even if you're in a situation where, like, say you're a newer caregiver, you've never experienced this before, whatever, it's okay if you call 911. Mm-hmm. They're not going to criticize you.
Nope.
You're better to be on the safe side. And just because you call 911 doesn't mean that they have to go to the hospital.
Correct.
If the paramedics come and they evaluate the person and they find that all is well, they won't take them out.
Nope.
And if they do, well then, oh well. It's not like it's going to be treated as a nuisance call because it still was an allergy. It's still a
legitimate call.
Right. So, yeah, don't drive them to the pharmacy.
Nope.
And stick them in the back seat of the car while they're having an allergic reaction.
Also noteworthy, after you administer the EpiPen, you're supposed to massage the area for, I think, 30 seconds. Or like a minute.
The instructors today said at least 5, but I mean...
5 minutes.
I mean, I think it's just a matter of...
5 minutes?
Using your best judgment. So you're supposed to massage the area to help, what's the word, disperse the medication, so that it works faster. I mean, like I said, she said 5, but like, use your best judgment. I think.
Quite honestly, 5 minutes seems excessive because it's a shot. So, like, no matter how long you massage it, it's still going to get to the area that it needs to go to.
Right.
And I think, like, a minute would suffice.
Well, right. And you're going to start to see right away within the next minute or so if the medication is actually working.
Correct.
And then at that point, you would either make the decision to administer another one and then call 911 or just call 911 right away.
Yeah, quite honestly, right after you administer the first one, while you're still massaging, you should probably call 911 regardless.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a thing. Oops. You didn't see that. I put my hands up and this was still in my hand.
Oh. They didn't see it. It's fine.
It's the nick of teen, okay? I need it to survive. Currently. I think one thing that we didn't talk about the last time we did an episode on this was, so, okay, if you have, like, medication allergies, say you make a med air and you accidentally give someone a medication that's not theirs. Oof.
Turns out they have an allergic reaction.
That's a tough one.
So,
that's a tough one.
Odds are, you're not only going to be calling 911, of course, you're going to be calling the pharmacy because they're going to instruct you to do that.
And then the pharmacy is going to ask you if you called 911, and then you're going to say yes, I did.
and so you might end up calling the pharmacy first if you're not, like, say if you don't know that this person is allergic to this medication because obviously it's not theirs, you might end up calling the pharmacy first just because that's typical protocol. Because normally when a med air happens, the first thing that you do is call the pharmacy. Then if they look in the person's file and they see that, oh, there's an allergic reaction, or there's a indication or something that it could maybe cause an allergic reaction from one of their other medications, then they're probably going to have you call poison control. And then at some point you will probably end up calling 911 as well.
Yep.
So,
because you also have to keep in mind that even if it doesn't cause an allergic reaction, some medications do not interact well with others. They don't play nice with others.
They don't play nice in the sandbox. Yeah, that's something. I have never, thank knock on wood. I've never made a med air where I gave a person the wrong medication. However, I did have a staff member that did that under my supervision. I mean, it wasn't under my supervision, but like it was one of the homes that I was in charge of. And luckily nothing really, really scary came out of it, but it could have been terrifying.
Yeah.
this person was like on a ton of psychotropic meds, and then the medication the person that they gave the medication to was like on barely like Tylenol even.
Oh no.
And so like luckily everything was fine, but the pharmacist was like, yeah, this person's gonna have a really great sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he ended up getting like trazodone, I think quetiapine, couple other things.
Quetiapine is essentially Seroquel, is it not?
I think so.
I bet he slept great.
Yeah.
Oof.
So yeah, thank God that nothing really crazy happened, but it could have.
Yeah.
It could have. And yeah, so that is definitely something to watch out for. I mean, just like in general when you're passing medications, but those are the sorts of things that you don't really think of until it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. They're scary.
Yeah, because you don't think it's that bad until you're like, oh my God. And then it just keeps getting worse, and you're like, ah.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially like the person that you were just talking about who barely got anything other than Tylenol. Like, I think we need to be clear here. Tylenol is like the lowest form of pain medication that you could possibly take.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hardly worth anything, really. It's like taking aspirin or ibuprofen.
Yeah, I think he got Tylenol and maybe like a few eye drops.
I stand by what I said. I bet he slept great.
Yeah. Well, and then, okay, so obviously derailing a little bit, but this was really funny. So, not only did the two guardians or the care teams hardly ever answer their phones, like very rarely, but, so when I have a rule, so when you make a med air, you have to make all of those phone calls yourself. So you call the pharmacy, you call the doctor, you
call the program manager, you call the guardian,
you call the care team, like all of those things. And it was really funny because the person that did it was really, really nervous. And I was like, don't worry. I was like, I bet you none of them are even going to answer. You're probably just going to have to leave a voicemail. Every single one of those people answered.
I knew that's where this was going.
Everyone.
I knew it.
And he was so mad at me, and he was like, why did you make me do this? I was like, because A, it was your med air, and B, once you do it, you will never do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having to make all those phone calls and explain, oh, I did this happened because of me, because of my negligence. Woo! You will never do that again.
Nope.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Dude, I don't know what your neighbors are watching, but I hear upstairs Phineas and Ferb. I love that. I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm pretty sure he's playing a video game.
Fair.
Yeah, so my house is over 100 years old. Walls are paper thin. We can literally hear everything. And there's this, like, really specific, like, thudding sound that my neighbors have.
Not even like a thud. That was like a bass boost.
I'm pretty sure they're playing some kind of, like, shooter game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's real loud.
Yeah. It's probably COD, honestly.
That's what my husband said. He thinks that he plays COD.
I played Fortnite. I used to play COD.
Like, sometimes it makes, like, the walls vibrate.
Mm-hmm. I've been here to witness that twice now.
Yeah.
Actually, this would be the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're squirreling now.
We are. We told you what you need to know. Have fun with the information.
Yeah, and I mean, if there was anything that we missed, go watch the first one. Listen to it.
That one, I'm pretty sure we were much more in-depth.
Probably. It was probably a really long episode. We're tired.
We're tired.
You gotta remember, y'all, A, we do this for free. B, we do this after work. And C, it really is just to
advocate,
because
spread awareness.
Yeah, not enough people talk about these topics, and
Nope.
I mean, they do, but they don't, because like a lot of the people that we follow in the medical field that do like skits and stuff, most of them are nurses.
Yeah.
Or they're like specialists in their field, so like they'll go really in depth on one topic.
Yeah.
But as caregivers, you have to do everything. You have to see everything.
Yep.
And so yes, there are plenty of caregivers out there, but there's not enough that are talking about what we go through on a daily basis and advocating for caregiver voices.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we try and do.
Yep.
Because, you know,
we advocate for our residents all the time, but nobody advocates for us.
Exactly. And, you know, we're just trying to be honest about, like, our point of views and what we see. And sometimes it gets dark, and sometimes we have to say sad things because that's what we see.
Yep.
So, yeah. Come on this little journey with us.
Little? It's a big journey.
It is a big journey.
It's a large.
It's large and in charge.
Like me. Okay. I'm gonna do the thing.
Julie, do the thing!
Every time, it gives me every time. You can find us on TikTok and Facebook at Boss Ravioli Queens. You can also email us, bossravioliqueens@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of us. And let's be honest, who doesn't? Who doesn't? Also, go ahead and leave comments. We enjoy reading comments.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're nasty. Because guess what? Your hate still gets us views.
It's true. Even hate engagement helps the algorithm.
It do. All right. Until next time, everybody. Oh, crap. Bye.
Bye.